Yo, what is up, YouTube? Welcome back
Goddess
to
of
my
Victory.
channel, and today
Nikke.
we will be going over the wish list for new players in particular. There are mid, late, and new players, and this is specifically for newer players. Uh-huh. I wanted to make this because, of course, we have the Half Annie live stream, tomorrow morning at 4:30 um, Central Time in the US. So I'm like, if the half Annie's coming up, I might as well just, make the video now. I've been planning to make this video for a while. In fact, I did make it a while back, but I decided to scrap the entire thing. I want to make sure that I want to make sure that it's not too loud.
Can you hear me? Commander?
I want to make sure it's not too loud.
Commander?
Oh,
Commander?
that's not true. This is fine. Hopefully that's fine. That should be good, hopefully. All right. But yeah, I wanted to make this video, but I scrapped it. I'm like, it's taking way too much time. I have been, uploading a lot of near reincarnation stuff on my near reincarnation archive channel. Since the game is technically canon to the near timeline, I decided I might as well, upload it. I'm sure that people would want to see that stuff. And plus, the story is a lot of fun. I have not played the actual near games, but I have played that game, and it's a lot of fun. The story is really nice. Unfortunately, I do not bring good news when it comes to Bay. She has been avoiding me like the plague, unfortunately. I can do one more multi by the time that she goes away. I can get up to 1,000, and then I can get the 2,000 from the PvP reset that we have in, 3 days something hours? And this is 4 days something hours, so I'll have a little bit under 24 hours to go and get those 2k gems and just summon on her banner. By the way, Bay is not on any of these wish lists. Hold up. If you did want to put her on there because she's hot, I do have something for you. In terms of hotness, because I'm gonna make a hot, I guess, really quickly, I'm gonna make a hottest Nikke's wish list, I guess. I'm probably gonna cut it. They're pretty hot. Hmm. Dude, actually, this is way too hard. I'm not gonna do that. Nope, I'm not gonna do that. Also, I'm saving these in case I don't get Bay on that last multi. Super freaking annoying that she's not here. This could be another Blanc situation. Where I was missing Blanc and Noir for a little over 6 months. I only got Blanc because of the freaking step up, and then like a month ago, I finally pulled my first copy of Blanc. Maybe a month and a half ago, I finally pulled my first copy of Blanc. So I know that if I don't get her here, she could be gone for a while, but I'm not really too worried about her. If she had a taunt, it would be a completely different, situation. I would want her no matter what. But she doesn't have a taunt, so even if I don't get her, I'm still gonna be content. I mean, I have Tia if I want to cover repair tank. I don't like that Scarlet is in between Tia and Naga. I like to keep them together. There's nothing I can do though. They're 10, 10, 10, 5, 5, 5, 5. Can maybe change the yeah. I could upload. I could upgrade this cube. I can't talk. That would require 43. Nah. I am really wasting a lot of time. Yeah, I'm wasting a lot of time. I'm going to get to it. I should be able to get Nihilister MLB this Union raid. By the way, really quickly, co-op is up, full birthday as well, and Union raid is also up. Make sure that you guys do that. But yes, now on to the wish list for new characters. I said new characters. On to the wish list for new commanders, I guess. I will be going over each and every Nikke. Yeah. I was thinking, should I go over the best options for newer players? Because I was gonna go over which pilgrims are really, really good. And if you get them, keep the account, but I think I'll do that at the end of the video. So I'll do the wish list first. Okay. So I do follow some rules. Early game, in my opinion, is before you reach 160. I think once you reach 160, I think you're probably mid game. And mid game is a very small area for me. I think that either once you're able to easily get a level 9 on the special interceptions, or once you reach level 200, whichever happens first. Well, no. Yeah, actually, no. Yeah. A level 200 or level 9s easily on a special interception is probably late game. Before that and in between 160 is probably mid game. So before 160 is what I'm talking. So for new players, you're going to want to try to break the 160 wall as fast as possible. They should give you a free unit during the Annie for that, which will help you get rid of one of the 5 characters. Basically, the 160 wall is you have to get 5 characters MOB, which is 4 copies. So you see these 3 stars, you gotta get all 3 of these stars maxed out. And then once you do that, you're able to break the 160 wall. If you're at the 160 wall, you cannot get higher than 160 unless you have 5 SSR characters max starred. So max limit broken, MLB. So that's the main thing that you want to focus on, even more than getting these really good characters on this wish list. Before you even do that, you want to focus on breaking the 160 wall. It is the most important thing. It will help you with your progression a lot if you can just get more levels instead of just being stuck there for weeks, maybe even, a month or 2 if you get super unlucky. You just want to really focus on getting the MLBs. I also follow another rule where I try to get at least 1 in each burst. Why? Basically for tower. For Elysian, Bacillus, and Tetra Tower. So really quickly, I'm going to get 1 in each, and then I'm going to probably just put the 2 strongest after that. Yeah. Okay. So for the burst one, the best burst one here is going to be D. She's just the best offensive supporter. Well, she's the best burst 1 supporter in general for most cases. Emma, she does have uses as a pure healer, and because she's an MG unit, she can also deal some decent core damage. But pure healers aren't really anything. You want your healer to be some sort of support as well. Miranda's really good for a Snow White one-shot team. I'll show you guys Snow White later. This is specifically for newer players. Like, these guys don't have the units for Tribe Tower. They don't have the MLB. They're like before even chapter 12, like brand new players. So that's what this is for. So D, she excels at buffing snipers, but she's not just, exclusive to snipers. If you look at her kit, she does, gain pierce, and she affects all allies that have a sniper rifle with, more pierce damage. She's a CDR unit, which is also huge, which is another reason why you really want her, because the only other Elysian CDR, I believe, is Summer Helm. And she's burst 2, so, you can't really, so you pretty much have to settle on one of the other burst 1s, is what I'm trying to say. Because you can't really get Anchor, and even if you did, why would you want Anchor? But yeah, so she's a CDR, attack buffer, sniper buffer, and then she also Activates when allies one time. Yeah, and then she adds some more support with her burst. I don't want to spend too much time here. I don't want to get like super in depth on like what each of these units do, but I do want to cover them in general. All right, for this one, I would say the best burst 2 for Elysian is probably Marciana. Mast is really good for buffing HP. She's really nice for buffing HP, but she's not the craziest. Marciana is the entire sustain for the Last Bullet Fire team, and the Last Bullet Fire team is one of the best teams in the game. If you're running, so if you're trying to be competitive in solo raid, you're gonna be running a Last Bullet Fire team, and she is really the only sustain for that entire team. So you're gonna want her. Plus, she's just the best Elysian burst 2 in the entire game. You know what? I will cover what each of these units do. I already did the burst ones. Signal's decent at dealing damage. She's not good, but she's decent. Poli's, she's a defender that can do a little bit of damage sharing, I believe. And she also has an attack buff for all allies, which is pretty decent. I already told you what Mass does. Diesel has a lot of ammo. She's a defender. I believe that she taunts as well. But I don't think that she has as much sustain as a lot of other tanks. Yunhua is she's just existing, I guess. She's a fire sniper. She doesn't really excel in anything, to my knowledge. If you need a fire burst 2, she's an option. But yeah, okay, and then the best option here would just be Privity. The main reason is you get a free copy of Privity, so it would just be way easier to get more copies of her in like MLB her than it would be to go for any of these brand new units. Okay, Helm is really good at lifesteal. She also does some damage to interruption circles, which is really nice. Guillotine has a lot of damage in her kit. She is also a machine gunner, so, or I don't know, is it machine gun, minigun? I don't know what it is, but yeah, she's that. So she does have some pretty decent core damage. Brid's a water one-shot tank thing. She's paired decently with Summer Mary. She's not like exceptional, but she's paired decently with her. Celine does not have a Summer Mary the same way that Brid does. So she doesn't really have like a lot of units that can like buff her up as much as Summer Mary can buff up Brid. She's probably the weakest option here. Vesti, and you guys that are probably familiar with the game are thinking she's weaker than Kiri. Yes, I'll explain why here in a second. Vesti is really good for newer players, mainly because she's a rocket launcher, and AoE is just really nice early game. A lot of the enemies aren't as tanky in the earlier chapters, so having a rocket launcher that can do a crazy amount of like AoE, like Vesti, is not actually bad. So she's not bad for newer players, but I'm not exactly sure if I'd actually run her. If you want her and you want to use her, go for it, but she's not like the best option. Maiden's decent, but I believe that she's a DPS that also taunts, if I remember correctly. Which is all... But, by the way, that's really bad. A DPS that taunts? Yeah, no.
I don't know.
Yeah, dude, a DPS that taunts is just... Why? Okay, yeah, a DPS that taunts is not good. They die way too fast. I don't know if I should explain... Well, I don't know if I need to explain that to people. But yeah, a DPS that taunts just dies way too fast. So yeah. Boom. Kiri is good for a HP team, which is why she's better than Celine. And she's only good because we have no other options. But she's... What Kiri does is she heals the team, and she also buffs up the maximum amount of HP. So she's a healer that also increases a little bit of damage, decreases, the damage of the target, and also heals. So she's a healer if you need a healer, pretty much. She's at least a little useful, unlike Celine, which I really don't see a use for. D is good for Modernia. She can stop stuns for the first few seconds of the battle, I believe. And then Privity, Unkind Maid, is a really, really good unit, but she needs a lot of setup. So much, see, I would put her here on the late game, but not for the early game. For the early game, I'd say these two. For the early game, I'd say this is probably the best that you could do. Poli is a decent option. I wouldn't replace Marciano with her, though. Vesti is a decent option. You can honestly replace either of these two with her. I think that helm's really, really nice, especially if you don't have some. I cannot talk. Especially if you don't have Summer Mary. Vesti is helm is really nice. I am just mixing everything up. If you do have Summer Mary, she does crazy amounts of heals even without you having to burst with her. So it's just a bunch of like pretty much off the field healing when you don't even have to use her character. Like she could just be existing and you'll be healing a crap ton. With Helm, you'll have to use her and you'll have to take up a burst. With Summer Mary, she'll just be there, and then you won't have to use her, and you'll still get a crazy amount of healing. Which is why I like Summer Mary a little bit more. The damage goes down a little bit, but it's just a little bit more convenient. I can focus on a DPS that has higher damage than Helms. And yeah, like I said, Privity kind of needs Leona and Tove to be decent. So for these, boom. Okay, best unit in the entire game, Litter. She is your burst one. She repairs cover. She has CDR, and she also increases the entire team's damage for 5 seconds, which 5 seconds is not a crazy long time, but it works for most DPSs. It works. She is the best Bacillus unit in the entire game. Tia and Naga are better than her, but they kind of need each other. Litter can do all that she can, and she can do it by herself, which is why she's like the best. Which is also why she's the best burst one. A lot of people keep trying to say that Litter is getting replaced. It's like, dude, she's too universal to be getting replaced. If there was one unit on this entire list, I would say that you need to put on your list, no matter what, it would be Litter. She would be the number one spot. The number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 slots would be to the schoolgirls and the bunnies, but she would be the number one slot. I cannot talk. Okay, Pepper's a really good healer. She has a decent amount of healing when you're autoing, and when you're manualing, her auto becomes really nice. So yeah, she's a shotgun healer, so she does damage and she heals quite a bit. Someone's mowing their lawn outside my window right now, so forgive me if you can hear that. Jackal, hold up. Good, had to make sure that I wasn't muted. Jackal is a really, really nice tank for PvP because of her damage sharing abilities. Plus, she's a rocket launcher. She's kind of like the queen of PvP. She's like one of the best units in PvP because of that damage share that she has. Tove is nice for shotguns. She supports shotguns really, really well, which is the entire reason Made Privity was even considered, was because Tove exists. And Tia is my girl. I love her. She's an amazing tank, and Tia is an amazing tank, and she does have problems, which is why it's a little hard for me to recommend her, because early game she's not as good because she needs quite a bit of investment in terms of equipment to be able to stay alive, especially for bosses. You're probably not going to be able to use Tia for bosses until you get a decent amount of investment in her equipment, because you need her HP and defense as high as possible. Her stats need to be really high, or she's probably going to die. That rhymed. Now, And Tia's amazing when you get that investment in her. For this, it's tied between two units, Senti and Naga, because I'm looking at them by themselves. Obviously, when they're together, Tia and Naga are absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. They go on here 1000%. And because of that, I'd say Naga's more valuable because she has that opportunity to buff herself with Tia. So I'm going to put Naga here. Tia will go on later, 1000% she will. But I'm trying to fill out the full burst requirements first. But Senti is just as good as Naga by herself because of the way that her shield works and her burst generation. Shields in this game, it doesn't matter how much damage a move that an enemy does, a shield will take care of all of it. And once it breaks, the leftover damage will not go to your units, it'll just vanish. That's how shields work. Shields will take that damage no matter what. And the leftover damage will not be brought back to your units. Which is why she's really nice, because of the way that shields work in this game. Plus her burst generation, plus she has a little bit of debuffs in her kit. Where is it? Right here. She lowers defense, which will make the enemy take more damage. It's really nice. Admi, she's just for like a reload team. She's really nice at doing like the reload stuff, but reload stuff isn't really meta. It's good for Scarlet before you get her with like max ammo, because Scarlet at the beginning of the game is kind of so on a reload team, that kind of fixes a lot of her problems when she's bursting. Because of how fast the reload will be, it'll kind of fix it. Naga's amazing. She has a lot of support in her kit. A lot of people seem to think that Naga's comparable even without Tia. She's not. So Naga by herself will be giving a 40% core damage, and she'll be recovering health. She'll also be gaining Pierce for herself and increasing all allies' attack by 16%. When you have Tia, you're getting an additional 85% to core damage dealt, and an additional 31%. Oh, and these are all maxed out skills, by the way. And an additional 31% to attack. It more than I was about to say triples. It more than doubles the amount of support that she's giving. It more than doubles the amount of support that she's giving. And honestly, having Tia on that team makes her skyrocket in value. But she's really nice. She heals and she provides some offensive support. Uni, she's alright. She's decent for defense battles. She's a rocket launcher, so she has decent burst generation. She has lifesteal, but it's not a lot of lifesteal. Elig is really nice for damage dealt proportionally. No, a damage dealt distributed proportionally units, which that sounds really weird, and that's because it's a mechanic that's pretty rare. But basically, units that can distribute their damage equally among all units on screen, like Dorothy and Scarlet Black Shadow, will get their damage buffed by Elig. Now for this one, I was going to say Maxwell. Well, for now it is Maxwell. When Laplace gets her buff, it's probably going to be Laplace. I imagine that her damage is going to be... See, if they think that the buff that they're giving her is enough to make her decent, I imagine that she's going to be really good. This is all speculation. But Maxwell, she has a crazy amount of support for charge units, and she also has a lot of pierce and damage herself. See, and charge speed and attack for the two allies with the highest attack, which normally one is her and the other one is your other like DPS unit. So like Scarlet Black Shadow, Alice, Red Hood. Crit rate and crit damage for herself, and then here's her. It's kinda Like a one-shot, it one-shots most units that aren't bosses. Like tyrant level bosses. Like stage bosses can probably get one-shot by Maxwell if she's built decently. Julia's there. She's a last bullet fired crit damage dealer. Not the best. If you build a team around her, it could work, but that's not something that a early game player is going to be able to do. Drake is going to be pretty decent for early game. She's just a good, a good shotgun DPS. Crow is bad. She's pretty bad. She's a defender that I don't even know what she really does. She's one of the only units in the entire game that I don't really know what she does. She lowers attack of all enemies, which is pretty decent actually, by 20%. That's not awful. Activates when firing the last bullet, so she's also a last bullet fired unit. She deals additional damage and increases her own defense. That's pretty decent. And then she affects the enemy with the highest attack by dealing them that much damage. She's not awful, but she's far from good, and there's other units that turn her into being awful. You can see her kit working in some scenarios, but there's just so many other units that are just that much better that she just drops that much. She drops in value that much that I just wouldn't even know. She's not even worth considering. Plus, not a lot of people like her because she is very... I'm not going to spoil anything. For newer players, I'm not going to spoil anything. Epinel is she's a unit that increases her damage whenever she gets a kill. Kind of like Haran. But, worse, since Haran is a pilgrim. She does have a screen wipe, just like Haran. She has crit rate and crit damage, and then she has this, a stacking attack that stacks every single time that she gets a kill, which is pretty decent, but it's just worse than Haran's. Laplace. Okay. Hold up. She's going to be there, 1000%. I would say the last unit can be a toss-up between probably 4 units. Senti, Pepper. Actually, you know what? It'll have to go to Pepper. But I'll explain Laplace as well. She's the only unit that I have not explained. She's really good for base defense battles. She's a rocket launcher. She uses like a laser rocket thing. She's really nice. She will be getting a treasure system, which will not be new player friendly because you'll have to get at least 3 copies. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to start getting some now. But if I'm being honest, while she's a really good DPS, and she'll probably get even better, it was between Laplace, Drake, Senti, and Pepper. And while Drake and Senti are also very good, I forgot something. I forgot how valuable healing is at the beginning of the game. Healing is genuinely some of the most valuable stuff that you can get at the beginning of the game, because while Raptors don't have a lot of health and defense, they do deal a decent amount of damage. So healing is really, really valuable. Alright, for this one, I'd say volume. That CDR is... But is that... You're not going to need volume as a new player. Go for noise. She'll help you out more. This'll take a long time. I won't spend more than 10-15 seconds explaining each of these characters. Noise is a tank that can also taunt and heal herself and decrease the entire team's damage and heal the entire team. So she's a healing tank hybrid that also taunts. It's pretty nice. Yan increases charge damage units, so rocket launchers and snipers. Volume is a CDR unit, which CDR is the most valuable thing in this entire game. It enables your team to be full bursting constantly. But yeah, she's a CDR unit just like Litter, just like Dala, which we're gonna be getting to her. Just like D Killer Wife and Summer Home. But she does crit damage and crit rate, I believe, instead of attack and like other stuff. So she's a crit supporter. Exia's she has a decent amount of debuffs in her last bullet. Well, not in her last bullet fired thing. When she fires her last bullet, she decreases attack and defense of the unit that she hit by basically 14%. Oh, duh. All right, so that was someone mowing the lawn right outside of my window. So that was very loud. Sorry about that. But yeah, Exia, she's decent at the debuffs, and she is going to be getting a treasure system, so I imagine that she'll just be getting better. She is pretty mid right now. We just have that many better burst ones. Oh my gosh, I closed the window, but it's still very noticeable. Sorry about that. Like I said, yeah, right outside my window. Milk has lifesteal. She's a sniper. She's decent. She has a little bit of offensive support. Ludmilla and Sakura are really good for train. Damage dealt reduced by a decent amount by Ludmilla, and damage dealt by fire enemies reduced by a decent amount with Sakura. I cannot talk. So when Ludmilla does her damage reduction and then she also taunts combined with Sakura, and the train does not deal damage. So all that you have to do then is just deal damage yourself. Yet again, I had to cut. They came by my window again. They're going back and forth. All right. So Soda, decent fire support. MG unit has decent core damage. She heals as well as doing all of that like fire support. That's pretty much it. She's not the best. Frima, hold up, I did not mean to press her. She's a defensive support. She increases defense, I believe, or is it HP? It's one of the two. She decreases defense and increases HP. Yeah. So she's an HP support. Then you have Coco. I think Coco's a supporter that does deal a little bit of cover repair. Not a crazy amount, but a little bit. Like a really bad version of Litter. But she does have a little bit more in her kit, just not like a crap ton. Yeah, she's also a debuff dispeller. And she does lower attack as well. Rosanna, I think she's the worst unit in the entire game. She's not good. Why do I think that? You're probably like looking at the tier list and thinking she's like what, S tier I think in PvP on Pridewin and Nikke GG, and she's something, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's not the best because of the way Emma works. Any person that has Emma I did not mean to do that. Any person that has Emma completely shuts down Rosanna. And because she's only usable in PvP, but she has a hard counter in PvP, it kind of makes her completely useless, because all that the enemy has to do is, because they see that you're using Rosanna, so they just put on Emma and they beat your defense super easy. You may be able to use her on offense, but defense she's completely useless, because of the way that Emma works. Mary is a pure healer. Shotgun has decent damage from that, but yeah, pure healers, like I said, aren't the best. You want some sort of support, like Pepper. She's a supportive healer, or like Noise, who is a tanky healer. Moran, amazing tank, really, really nice. She is a 40-second tank. You're not really going to need her outside of things like solo raid, in my opinion. But yeah, she's good. Okay. Now, the way that this works, I am going to give the value to Dala. I think that see, if you don't have Dala and you're a new player, you're not going to have Summer Helm because obviously you're a new player. Having the option to have CDR as a burst 2, really nice. Obviously the bunnies will be here. They will, and I'm trying to figure some stuff out. But yeah, Dala's gonna be the pick here because of the way to pick up one I was about to set up one version. Pick up one copy of Dala, and then you'll be set. Rupee, I love her. She's my girl. Best girl in the entire game. But she's alright. She buffs iron allies. She buffs attack as well. She's an assault rifle. I want to say put her on here because I'm biased, but don't. She's not the best anymore. Viper. Okay, so Viper and Novel do the same thing. They increase the amount of damage that the boss takes. In my tests, Viper with less investment does more than Novel with higher investment. That's what my tests have shown personally. It's because Viper is a attacker herself. She increases the entire team's overall damage dealt because she does increase the amount of damage that the boss is taking. But on top of that, she's also dealing a lot of damage herself, a lot more damage than Novel would be doing. That's from my personal experience. I've used her against every single boss in special interception, and also used Novel against every single boss in special interception. I cannot talk. I need to slow down. And I found that I always clear a few seconds faster with Viper. Like, sometimes it's as little as 5, and others it's as many as like 20 seconds faster. But I always cleared faster with Viper, even with less investment, which is crazy. But yeah, these two increase the amount of damage that the boss takes. Folkwing, she, I believe, is a life stealer that also has shields. She's an assault rifle, and she's a defender. I don't think that she has a taunt, though. Oh, she does have a taunt, which definitely increases her value, but she's not crazy. She gives 2 allies a shield and a lifesteal, which is pretty decent. And she does also give a decent amount of shields, taunt, and max HP. Even if it is only to herself. The problem here is that she's a 40-second unit. She's a 40-second burst too, so there's just better 20-second burst 2 options. I'm gonna skip over Biscuit. She's my favorite supporter. I'm gonna be gushing about her. Arya, she is a machine gun attacker. She's a crit damage damage dealer. She does have a machine gun / minigun. I'm not sure what that thing is supposed to stand for. But yeah, she does have that going for her, which is, decent for bosses, for their cores. It's a machine gun, okay. But yeah, she's just not the best. She also has shields as well, the same as Folkwing, but she's just no. If you were going to use either of these two, I would probably go for Folkwing. She's at least a little decent, but even then, well, Arya does give shields to the entire team as opposed to only 2 units like Folkwing. Still, I just wouldn't touch it. Nero, she has the potential to be a crazy tank, but I'm not going to. Okay. If you got super lucky in your, beginner summons, and in the first few summons that you did, you got Rapunzel, put Nero on there. Okay. Dala will be. Okay. I'll explain this at the very end. Put Nero on there after you get 1 copy of Dala. Because Dala is not okay. Actually, I'll just explain it now. Dala is not the craziest. You don't really. Well, she is crazy, but I mean she's not the craziest in terms of dupes. so you're not really going to need a lot of dupes for Dala. So just get one copy and then just replace her with someone else. Blanc has crazy potential with Noir. Okay, I do have a little bias against the bunnies, like I said a little bit earlier into the video. I believe I said this at least. I do have a little bias against the bunnies because they refused to come home. Blanc in particular. Noir came home after like what, 1 or 2 months of evading me, but Blanc refused to come home for like 6 freaking months. And that was only because I was able to get the guaranteed from the step up. She actually like didn't like come from like a pool until I got her from a mold after like what, 8-9 months after her initial launch. Because of that, I missed out on a lot of top-ranking solar rate stuff. I always got around the 4% mark and not above the 3% because everyone else above me had Blanc and Noir and I did not. So I couldn't compete with those people because I did not have Blanc and Noir. So I do hold a little bit of a grudge against them. But even without that grudge, they are worse than the schoolgirls. Okay, let me explain. And let me explain it, because some people are going to be a little pissed at that. Blanc and Noir are really crazy, but they're not as crazy as the schoolgirls. Because what the schoolgirls do is they increase your damage by so freaking much. They will triple the damage of like any damage dealer. And as long as Tia's alive and has, like healthy cover, they will completely destroy the bunnies. The problem is keeping Tia alive. So earlier into the game, the bunnies are just better. I say that early game, the bunnies are better. Late game, the schoolgirls are better. Mid game, the bunnies have a slight edge, but it's not as drastic of a difference as late and early game. I cannot talk, dude. Late and early game, there's a big difference between the two. They're really good early game. They're really good late game. But yeah, Blanc has a crap ton of support. She has indomitability. She has healing. She has a little bit more intricate in terms of like offensive as well. Did not mean to do that. Yeah, and she also has a shield. All enemies increase their damage taken, and that's the offensive support. She has the indomitability. She has the max HP. She has the healing. And then she also has the shield. They're crazy good. Not as good as increasing the amount of core damage that you deal by like 120%, and increasing your increasing core damage by like what, 150% when you add like Tia's buffs as well, and increasing attack by like what, 80%, like 90%. That's what the schoolgirls do. As long as you can keep them alive, they're absolutely insane. Leona, she is the other reason why Maid Privity was even up there. I love her. She's really, really hot. She is really hot. And she's the entire reason why Maid Privity can do what she can. But Leona is not the craziest. We need more shotgunners like Maid Privity to increase her value, and then Leona can just be way better. 8 is a hybrid of masked and like... Alright, yeah, 8 is a hybrid of an offensive and an HP supporter. She does not know what she wants to be. She does both. She does a little bit of both. She does not increase HP as much as masked. She does not like increase damage as much as someone like say Naga would. So she's just worse. She's a middle ground, but it's like, why would you want the middle ground? Just make her one or the other and just make her really good at that instead of her being decent at both of these things. Just make her really good at one of these things. That's kind of what we need. We don't need units that are kind of eh. We need a unit that's like, yes! And like excels in something. That's what we need. Biscuit, I I saved her for last because I love her. You can cheese so many things with Biscuit. She is my favorite supporter in the entire game. Um, she gives tanks 2 rounds of indomitability, which means that they cannot drop below, I believe it's 50% or is it 60%? It's one or the other. She has that. She increases damage. She has lifesteal. She has crit rate. Um, she also rebuilds cover and increases the attack of supporter allies. I mean, if you pair her up with a tank, like say Noah, you can cheese so many bosses with her. She's not really beginner friendly because you're probably not gonna have Noah, so I would just disregard her. But she's gonna be one that you should be happy to get if you do. If you do manage to get her, you should be happy about it. Oh my gosh! Like I said, I'm getting way too excited, like talking about these units. I need to just chill. So yeah, if you get Biscuit, you should be happy about it. She enables a lot of things, a lot of cheese tactics, but she's not like the craziest. Here, put Alice there, okay? And then, like I said, Blanc and Noir are crazy, so they're gonna be the last two. They have to be there. Okay. Alice is a crazy, crazy support. I mean, yeah, she's a crazy support, and she's also a crazy DPS. She supports, I believe, is it snipers or is it charge units? Is it charge? Yes, it's. She supports units that have charge speed and charge damage. And she also has attack, and she continuously heals whenever she's in a full burst. Hold up. No, she continuously heals whenever she's below 80%. I thought that it was when she was in a full burst. Whenever she's below 80%. Wow. Which this, combined with the amount of damage she deals, is so freaking much healing. She does not care about taking damage. If you have a healer on top of this, she will not be dying. Plus, on top of the crazy amount of damage and the crazy support, see, this amount of charge speed and this amount of charge damage does not seem like a lot, but charge speed and charge damage are really good for someone like Red Hood, who I believe for every percent of charge speed that she has, her damage increases by a crap ton. So she's really, really nice when paired with Red. Well, like I said, Blanc and Noir, crazy, crazy, crazy. Noir brings attack, maximum ammo, so don't put any last bullet fired units with them because, you know, they want the least amount of ammo. And she has hit rate and some damage. And also some damage to interruption parts. So yeah, so, you know, it's nice. It's nice and all. Look, so from the bunnies we're getting 14% attack. We're getting 40% ammo increase. We're getting let's say a 25% hit rate and 45% damage to interruption parts. On top of that, we're getting healing, we're getting shields, we're getting you know, a damage taken increase, we're gaining indomitability. We're also gaining the max HP. I'm missing something. So we're getting all of that from the bunnies. From the schoolgirls, hold up. From the schoolgirls, we're gaining health. We're getting shields. With Tia, we're getting damage up by 85% when, you know, attacking the core. Damage up by 40% when attacking the core. We're getting more healing. And this one was a cover repair. We're getting Pierce. We're getting 45% attack. And then on top of that, I already said that we're getting the shields. We're getting more cover HP. we're getting more damage. We're getting you know, we're getting a taunt, so they don't have to worry about any of the other units being attacked while Tia is alive. We're getting that's it. That's it. Yeah. So we're getting attack, we're getting shields, we're getting cover, and we're getting taunt. On top of all of the support that we're getting from Naga, which is why they're just a little bit better than the bunnies. So these two and her are necessary. These two are necessary. I'd say Alice is probably also necessary. Whenever you get a copy of Dala, replace her probably... No. Replace her with... either Novel or Viper. Once you get a copy of them, replace that with Biscuit, and then replace them with Nero, and then probably Leona, and then Ruby. Sugar is also decent, but shotgun teams aren't really too crazy now. But yeah, I would say for a brand spanking, new player, these are like the best units that you can put on the team. Now, going over to Pilgrims, we're going to cover this really fast. This is already like, what, 40 minutes or something? I don't know. But the Pilgrims that are going to be crazy for early game. Nihilister's not even, she's not even there. These two, you can't even get these two, so like, don't even worry about them. Isabel sucks. Rapunzel is going to be really nice because, healing is super valuable. Scarlet Black Shadow needs quite a bit of investment, so I'd probably say that she's not the craziest. The best Pilgrim, believe it or not, is going to be Haran. Because, Haran is the best DPS for the first few chapters. Up until you get to chapter like 16 or 14, it's around there. That's when the enemies start getting a lot more health and defense, and she starts becoming a lot less useful. But if you have her, she can push early game super, super well. Because of her virus transfer. Her virus just deals continuous damage to the enemy that it's attached to. And if an enemy dies while the virus is on them, it transfers to a new enemy. So it's just really nice for killing a bunch of enemies just repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again. Her virus is really, really, really nice. Until the enemies get tankier, her damage will be insane. Scarlet will be crazy. Modernia will be crazy. Rapunzel will be crazy. Dorothy's exceptional against bosses. I don't think that she's super crazy against a bunch of enemies. Red Hood's really crazy just everywhere. She's not as good when there's a bunch of enemies. She's best when there's only one enemy because of the way that, her burst works. But besides that, I'd say the ones that you should focus on, like, if you have Rapunzel, Scarlet, Modernia, or Haran, go for it. You're going to be able to push story exceptionally well. And if you do have Rapunzel, go for Nero. She's an excellent tank when paired with Rapunzel. Red Hood's really good as well. Do not reroll if you get Red Hood. She's not as crazy for the campaign. She's not. But she's still really good. And if you were somehow here for the ReZero collab and you're still qualified as a new player, I guess it was only like a few weeks ago, huh? Neither of these two are like super new player friendly because she kind of wants rocket launchers. The best rocket launchers, to my knowledge, are a Pilgrim and a Pilgrim and an abnormal character. Amelia's there as well, but yeah, they aren't really super new player friendly, but you can still use them. But yeah, those 4 pilgrims, potentially 5, because Red's there, but she's not super crazy in campaign, but she is there. So those 4 campaign pilgrims in Red, and then the wish list that I just showed you. Those units are going to be what I would focus on if I was a new player. Because while there are definitely better options, a lot of the ones that I left out that are better require a decent amount of investment. So a new player is not going to have that level of investment. I would just focus on that. And when you reach mid game, that's when I would seriously like start trying to get that investment into these characters. And I will be making a mid game video later, but this is specifically for newer players that don't really have a crap ton of investment and don't really have the sim room levels unlocked to get anyone past like level, say, 5 or 6 in terms of skills. So they like literally can't really delve into like a bunch of investment. And that being said, yeah, that's that. The video is way too long, so I gotta wrap it up. I will see you guys in the next video. All right, peace.